Okay, it's been a little while since I've done this, so this is my second time practicing through this. So hopefully this one works out. Um, I think I've got my recording on. Yes, we're good. Um, okay, no minimizing. Got it. All right, so first I'm just going to show you the overview of the lesson. I think I have my screen sharing on. Let me just make sure. Share my screen. There we go. Okay, so this is the overview of the lesson. It is multi-species grazing and climate-smart agriculture. Basically, the students are going to explore the concept of multi-species grazing and its benefits for sustainable agriculture and climate change mitigation, learning how to practice, how this practice improves soil health, embraces biodiversity, and reduces climate risk change. The whole lesson is here with the videos, the 5E lesson plan, the case studies, the activity for the students to do, the worksheet for the students to use, and then the assessment overall. So how do we know that students learned what we wanted them to after the practice? And then a link to the answer keys. So that is all listed in the lesson plan. Okay, so here's my PowerPoint, and I'll go back here to the beginning. All right. So let's see if I can move some of this stuff so you can see it. Okay, so as we're recording, I'm just going to go through this. Basically goes through step by step on the lesson. So this is multi-species grazing and climate-smart agriculture, exploring sustainable practices for a healthier planet. I am Renee Eckhoff. I am a science teacher at Grand Island Senior High, and I created this lesson plan this summer with my cohort in the Prairie Project. Lesson overview, we're going to explore multi-species grazing and its benefits, understand the role of sustainable agriculture and climate change mitigation, learn how to improve soil health and biodiversity, and develop practical implementation plans. There's the standards that I was going for. So if you're looking for some environmental science standards, or you need some life science standards that you need to meet, those are the ones that I'm going to be covering. All right, and so we start off with the first E, which is engagement. So this is your introduction. Now I've already gone over several different things. We've done some range management things. We've talked about different species. We've talked about invasive species. We've talked about weather and climate change, and some different aspects that I would definitely encourage you to go through before you cover this lesson. So I start off with the video basics on multi-species grazing and the environmental benefits. At this point, I would have the students just kind of discuss in their groups, maybe do a sheet of paper up on the board, and one side says notices and one side says wonders, and you'd have the students in their groups share out things that they notice about multi-species grazing, things that they notice about environmental benefits from using multi-species grazing, and then generate some questions that they have about this practice and how it works. So there's just a couple questions here that would kind of get them started in that process. Then I would have the students do some research. So just have them in small groups look at different grazing animals. Maybe have one group study or take a look at cattle, one group take a look at sheep or goats, maybe even different breeds of sheep, goats, or cattle. Have them look at the focus on impacts on soil and vegetation. And then my plan is to Zoom with some UNL Sandhills research partners and to have some ranchers on a live Zoom to discuss what they're using in their practices to the students. So this is probably a multiple day project, depending on how many people you could have to get on the Zoom meeting to talk about their different types of practices in your area. So basically the students are going to create a presentation about a specific case study, and all of these case studies are made up, but they are real world problems. So I was trying to get some examples of things that students might be running into in different ranch settings. So I'm going to start off first with the initial case study. So this would be my model of this is how your study should look. So again, this is a fake case study. Basically, this Jensen Ranch was looking at invasive weeds and declining forage. They were going to do an experiment to introduce goats and sheep and look at the outcome of that. And so there's the transformation, the lessons learned, and some benefits as we go through the case study. So these are things that you would probably not show them until after you discuss the case study. And so for the case study then, students are going to select a farm setting. And so I have 7 different options. There's a Rolling Plains Ranch. This is a cattle operation with pastures overrun by leafy spurge and thistle. We have the Prairie Oasis Farm, which is a diversified small farm with cattle and rotational crops. We have High Plains Grassland, which is traditional cattle grazing, large areas of underutilized pasture. Sandhill Sanctuary, which is cattle and hay production. Green Pastures Cooperative, which is mixed-use cooperative farm with a focus on regenerative practices. And Windy Ridge Ranch, the cattle grazing with unmanaged woodland areas. And the last one is Riverbend Meadows, cattle grazing with occasional crop fields for hay. As you can see, each of these options shows you the size of the area we're working with, the current use, the challenges, the goal, and then some additional information. Now, with this, students are going to look at the worksheet, and again, that's linked on that lesson there. They're going to go ahead and look, first they'll list their table partners. I wouldn't go with any bigger groups than 4. We just seem to have students kind of fall out of the work then. So groups of 2 or 3, depending on your choice, I guess. So then the farm setting they choose. So this is which option did they choose for their farm. Then they give a general overview, current usage, key challenges, goals, animal types that they're going to introduce, special grazing needs, additional considerations, the different species, the second species, and maybe even a third species that they want to add. They're going to discuss grazing patterns, stocking density, any seasonal adjustments, and then what they think the outcome is going to be with the type of grazing pattern and the types of species that they're using in that pasture. So environmental benefits, economic feasibility, some potential challenges and solutions there. And then they are going to create a PowerPoint or a Google slide presentation, 3 to 5 minutes, discussing why they chose their animal, their expected outcomes, and then how their group would measure that success. Okay, so those were the case studies again, so I won't go through those. All right, so students write reflections on multi-species grazing and climate-smart agriculture. So after you get all of these presentations done and the students discuss all the different possibilities, pros and cons, there's an assessment piece. Oops, that's not it. I'll have to re-link that. Oh, sorry. The assessment piece is based on participation, research, presentations, and plans. And this is the answer key that I have. But again, this is just one potential option. So you may come up, and students are going to come up with different answers as well. So that is my plan. Again, I'm going to run through this with my students in the next 7 to 10 days. As we're finishing up one unit that we have here, and then we'll have time to actually dive in and try this activity. Okay, so that is my presentation for the Prairie Project, and I would appreciate any feedback, or if you need anything else from me. Again, I'm Renee Eckhoff from Grand Island Senior High in Grand Island, Nebraska, and thank you.